Welcome back, everybody. We are the rest of the field. I'm Jason Gorman with Chris Weiler, Deke, and Ben Christensen coming at you. Episode 9 now already. We've been doing this for 9 weeks. We're coming at you with weekend editions with draft-only stuff. We have our midweek episodes, which have a little bit more content to them, but also some drafts. So coming at you in a lot of different ways. One of the new things that we've been doing for the past couple weeks now is What's on Deke's Dome, and that is exactly what it sounds like, looking at hats. And this week, look at this guy. Deke, what's on your dome this week?
I'm trying to go for 6 thumbs up here. Listening to your guys' advice from the last 3 weeks, I think I've caught on. So this is a Brewers game hat. Obviously, think they changed their logo this year. And a Brewers quarter zip to go along with it. I know the logos don't match. I mean, I know I might get maybe a half a thumb there. But story behind it is first Brewer game for my wife that we went to together. As I said in past episodes, she's a Twins fan, so I took her to Miller Park. And I was cold. And so I went to the pro shop.
In the climate-controlled dome stadium, okay.
Yep. Certainly, I was cold. They could have turned up the heat a little bit. And I bought this quarter zip, and I said, well, I should probably just get a hat with it. So I bought the hat with it, and it turns out it was actually the 17-inning game. I think it was the longest or second longest Brewer game in history.
The second longest game you've been to.
Yes. So I've been to the 2 longest Brewer games. Martin Maldonado ended it with a walk-off home run that game. I was actually at the longest Brewer game with Chris and Jason, which if they want to go into the details of that game and what happened there, they definitely can. But that's my dome. Brewers hat. Trying to fit it with the Brewers quarter zip, but the story behind it is why I wore them both. So hopefully I'm getting some decent amount of thumbs up here.
One question. So it was this hat and this quarter zip that you bought?
Yes.
So you bought it mismatched?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
When you're 6'4", 215, sometimes you can't be too picky and choosy when you're looking for your size and what's available in a store.
Pro Shop, they're going to have the hat that matches the quarter zip. They may only have one quarter zip style that fits you, but they're going to have the hat.
Yeah, so remember I was cold, so it had to be something long sleeve. So the choices were essentially a jacket, which was like the official jacket that the Brewers wear, which was for like $200.
Yeah.
Or this quarter zip, which was also still like $70.
Right.
And this hat. So those
could have bought the other hat though, is what Jason's saying. Not the other jacket.
I could have, but this is what they're wearing on the field at the time, so I felt that was the best option.
That's honoring both eras of the Brewers. Okay, so Chris, where are you at with thumbs up, thumbs down? Deke's
I want to make this game more complex in the future. I want to change it to a point system or a star system because I want to make a little differentiation between the Royals hat, certain hats that you're wearing, UNLV, Brewers. So this one I'm going to go with 3.2 out of 5. Okay, so I'm going to go with a scale here. Okay, it's a good thumbs up. It's almost like a thumbs and a broken nail on top of it. Like it looks great. I love that you tried to match it. It didn't quite work out as what I was hoping for, but hey, we all have our own style. So I think it's good. 3.2.
Okay, Ben, I guess on a 5-star scale.
I was all set on thumbs. Now you're switching things up.
How many thumbs are you going?
I give him 2.
Thanks, Ben.
Okay, so that'd be a 5.
Ooh.
No, it might be like a 4.5. Maybe.
Okay,
that's
so 4.5.
That's my fellow simple man.
I don't know. I'm on a thumb scale. You guys do your stars. I'm still on thumbs.
Okay, so I'm going 2.5 stars, which is a sideways thumb. And I come from a very personal place of it. The Brewers are my favorite Wisconsin team. So I would have loved, and granted, you would have needed new gear, and that's not necessarily what this is about, but the Brewers have a new logo. Either of those logos are not the new logo. You have the mismatching colors. So just a few things. Me as a very diehard Brewer fan, I would have loved to see some continuity or the new logo or both. Just not seeing it, not feeling it. So it's not a thumbs down. It's just not a thumbs up.
I like the yellow on the sleeves, Deke.
Thanks, Ben.
Don't let the man get you down.
Appreciate it.
That's not what we're talking about. We both like the jacket, I would assume. The jacket's sweet. We're talking about the hat with the jacket.
If you would have had a Royal hat on, like a Royal Brewers throwback hat, it would have been good because the logos would have matched. If you would have had if it wasn't mix and match, if it would have been the same, even though it wasn't new.
I'll wear mine for you.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
No problem, buddy.
Three stars for me now because you got the collaboration with Ben. So
Huge.
you're into thumbs up territory.
Perfect.
I'll keep track of those.
I'm trying. I thought I kind of had this figured out, but apparently not.
You're getting closer. It wasn't a thumbs down. So that was Deke's Dome for this week, episode 9. And from there, we're going to keep it moving. We got a couple different things for you guys. And here's the results from our midweek draft from last week. And it was all-time boy bands. And we have the results right there. So we see that Team 1 narrowly edged out Team 2. And that was Deke being playlist 1, edging out myself at playlist 2. And I believe Chris was playlist 4. And he wasn't too far behind in the overall scheme of things. Ben, with his all R&B boy band mix, did not turn out too well for him in the voting. So that's how the all-time boy band draft results ended up. So congratulations, Deke. You didn't get as many thumbs up as you wanted, but you did get a draft victory. So there you go.
I knew I would win this one. I thought it'd be more of a landslide, but win's a win.
No, I knew I was going to be hot on your tails. I had two of the big boy bands from our era, from the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, 98 Degrees. And then Hanson, I think, was a nice little wrinkle. I don't think I got any BTS votes. I tried to get the K-pop fans, internationally to get behind me, but wasn't feeling the love there. But you pulled that one out fair and square. And then we move on to our weekend draft, which we just did a couple days ago, and that was the all-time serial draft. And as Chris predicted, it was a runaway between him and I at Pantry 3 and Pantry 4. And in that one, I came out on top with Pantry 4. And let's see, Deke, Ben, Ben, you lost to the guy with no flavor in his lineup. Ben, how do you feel about the outcome of, I guess, all of last week, the week draft and then the weekend draft, really coming up short in both?
I don't know what you're
thoughts?
talking about.
Oh, I'm talking about the
fact
last two
that you
drafts.
finished last in both.
Both.
I don't remember that. That never happened.
Ben's already moved on. Mindset is, hey, move on. It happened. We get prepared for this week's draft, and that's all right. So
my
Ben,
mindset is that it never happened. There was someone else in my place.
Well, the results that we're keeping track of will tell us otherwise. But unfortunately for Ben, not a good outcome this week. But he actually has 2 drafts that he will be able to kind of take advantage of. But before we get to that, our Twitter poll question from last week was, which sport are you most excited to get back? And it came in pretty heavy with basketball getting half the vote, baseball right behind it, and then a tie between golf and there was a mix of NHL and MLS because I did want to include MLS in the conversation. So it was spread out throughout, but the majority of people looking forward to basketball, which they did end up getting approval on the every 22 teams going to Orlando and finishing out, I guess, what you would call a regular season, and then the playoffs to follow that. Baseball is still in negotiations, so we'll see what happens there. And then PGA Golf is coming back this weekend officially with their first event, I guess is the proper term there. And so that's where we're putting our Twitter poll question. We're each going to draft a 2-man squad. And, Deke, you have your hand raised. Did you have something to say?
Yeah. I got a question for our local MLS expert here, Chris Weiler. Mm-hmm. I saw today that they agreed to play, but they're having a full league tournament, and then the regular season is starting. I didn't quite understand that for the MLS. Did you guys see that?
I did not.
I haven't read it, but from what I know about it, it is usually the soccer in the United States has a tournament, and every team that's professional gets to be involved in that tournament. There's hundreds of teams it's called the U.S. Open Cup, and then you compete, and if you win that tournament, you go on and compete against other countries, other leagues, whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
That is not happening this year because of coronavirus and scheduling. So this is more of like an NCAA tournament that they're going to host in Orlando to have all the teams back and practicing, and then they'll continue and finalize the season after the tournament. So it's kind of like them getting back into full swing, getting games on TV, and then kind of back into the regular season. So it should be pretty interesting. It'll be kind of like I would assume, I didn't read it, but like the World Cup, like groups of pods of teams, and then those pods of teams will play each other in the final tournament, I would assume. So
nice. I wasn't aware of that. Thank you for that info.
Yeah, Chris is definitely our resident expert in MLS, and we will be leaning on him as their season gets up and running as well. Don't really have a hockey expert, so if anybody's listening to us looking for takes on hockey, I don't know that we'll have many. Maybe we'll throw some out there and see what we can come up for you guys. But let us know.
Wayne Gretzky still playing?
Yeah, he's definitely in there still. He's on the ice. He eats a lot of Wheaties and Rice Krispies and whatever other terrible cereals you mentioned in the cereal draft, because he's old as well. So I had mentioned that there's the 2020 Charles Schwab Challenge this weekend for the PGA Tour, and we are going to draft 2-man teams, and we'll stick with the same order of our draft today. I actually completely forgot to get a draft order for this specifically. So that order is Chris, Ben, Deke, myself, and then we'll snake it back. So it'll be the same, but it'll only be 2 rounds. So you pick a guy, he's off the board. You pick your 2, and then we'll throw it up on Twitter. Actually, I'm going to throw it up I'm going to try to do this as we go here. No, I'm not, because I won't be able to pay enough attention. So let me at least write it down so that I can get it up as quickly as possible after the fact. And so you can pick from anybody that's in the field. And Chris, you're going to be the number 1 pick. So who are you going to take for the 2020 Charles Schwab Challenge?
This is fun. I like this. I'm interested because I don't think it'll be a heavy favorite, although my first pick is going to be the favorite to win the tournament, so I'll go with Rory. But it'll be interesting to see. I think you can get some good odds out there for anybody that likes to gamble.
Yeah, I think coming back, there's not any recent play Rory having played on that little weekend deal before the match is really all anybody has seen. But he did play well in that. So he is currently the betting odds favorite. And Ben, that'll take us to you with your first pick. Who do you like?
I'm going to go with Webb.
Webb Simpson?
That's my man.
So this combined score that we're going by on the results, or we're just trying to pick a winner?
I guess that's up for debate. I mean, obviously we'll put it up on Twitter for people to vote on which teams that they like. So
got it.
But I think ultimately we're competing against each other. And I threw out earlier in the week in our text that, just combined money won. So that way, if, overall score we could do as well. We could just do overall result. What are your guys' thoughts? How would you like to? Ben's kind of our resident PGA Tour guy who watches way too much golf for his playing ability level. So, Ben, how would you propose that we pick a winner between our four groups?
Money's probably the easiest way to do it.
Overall money winnings?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll do that, and then we'll have
that.
We'll have the poll that will run, and then for people to kind of jump on. But I mean, it starts up tomorrow, so people are going to have to vote on the Twitter poll pretty quickly, and then we'll come back with the results on who actually won the competition in our two-man squads for the Charles Schwab Challenge. So, Deke, it looks like you might be looking up who to pick. You have the third pick overall.
Yeah. Do you guys remember the show Stump the Schwab? That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I like that show.
Chubby white guy that did stats for ESPN, and
so
people competed to go up against him.
I can't tell if he's in. Is DJ in the tournament?
Yes. Dustin Johnson.
Yeah, I'm picking him.
Okay.
He's my favorite golfer. Only reason why, and he's also pretty good. I mean, I give myself.
Is that why you asked about his father-in-law? Is that what's going on?
Wayne Gretzky. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's. I mean, there's a link there, but the only reason I said Wayne Gretzky is because I know 3 hockey players like in the history of my life. It's Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, and Pavel Bure. And like
Fred
after
Hall.
that, I don't know. Huh?
Well, this is taking an odd turn here. I have back-to-back picks. There's a few that I wouldn't mind taking. You got Spieth out there, Justin Rose, Gary Woodland, Ricky Fowler, Brooks Koepka, Justin Thomas. I know for sure I want Koepka. So I'm going to go Koepka with my first pick. And then I'm torn between Fowler and Justin Thomas. And I think I'm going to go with the odds here. And Justin Thomas has not better odds. He has better odds of winning, not good betting odds if you're placing a bet. How would you say that correctly, Chris?
Plus 1,600, so $100 to win 1,600 to win the tournament.
No, but I mean, like, in terms of he has better odds than Ricky Fowler.
He does have better betting odds, yes.
But Ricky Fowler, if you bet on him, you would win more money if he were to win. Because Ricky Fowler's at 33 to 1, Justin Thomas at 16
That's kind of a wordplay. I see what you're saying. A little tricky.
Yeah.
You could take
I don't know how to explain it, because if you bet on one over the other, you're going to win more or less money.
Justin Thomas is favored more than Ricky Fowler.
Yeah, so we'll put it that way.
That's all you could really say.
Yep. So I'm going to go with Justin Thomas. He was on the call at the course for the match 2, so maybe he got some strokes in while he was there with the guys. So Deke, that brings us back to you. Your second pick.
I'm gonna go with Tony Finau.
Okay, he was up there too. Somebody I was thinking about. Tony Finau, Mr. Dislocated Ankle himself. If anybody did not watch the Masters Par 3, was that last year or was that 2 years ago now?
I think 2.
2 years ago, where he aced it, right? He had an ace.
Mm-hmm.
No, wasn't the sprint off like for him and the caddy or something?
No, it was
Yep. I think he aced it, and then he was celebrating and
maybe that
dislocated his ankle. I think. Either way, he was like running or like jumping down not the fairway, but on his way to the green after teeing off on a par 3 and dislocated his ankle. And then I guess something that happens to him often. I don't know if often is the right word, but has happened to him before. And it did pop right back in. And then he did end up playing quite well, at least early on in the Masters. Just following that the rest of the weekend. So that was the reason behind me saying he was Mr. Dislocated Ankle. So Ben, comes back to you. You have Webb Simpson currently. Who's your second pick?
Rombo.
John Rahm?
Yeah.
Ben and I got to watch John Rahm. Was that at the FedEx? What is the one we went and saw?
The Tour Championship.
Tour Championship. And we ended up being right around him. So we got to see him. He's a guy that every shot he hits, no matter the outcome, always looks pissed off. And so, maybe it was just that tournament, but he never smiled. He'd hit a shot, he'd be grumbling afterwards, and then the shot would be like in the middle of the fairway or, a decent shot onto the green, nothing too close, but nothing too far away. He just seemed to be like that guy.
Yeah,
So.
I think he came in third or fourth in that tournament, and he was like not happy about it.
Yeah. That ended up being
want to win.
Ben and I got to be part of the mob of people following Tiger into the green on 18 when he came back, and that was was that his first victory from coming back?
Yep.
So that was a pretty cool moment. That was very cool. Ben and I kind of hung back. We could have been right in the thick of it, but it was just, it was hundreds of people on the fairway there following him up. But so that's going to finish out Ben's squad. And then Chris, who already has Rory, finishing us out with our two-man squads for the Charles Schwab Challenge. Who are you going with?
Yep, last pick. We're going with Xander Schauffele.
Schauffele.
Yeah, I like it better the way Chris says it. Sounds like a dish.
Beef stroganoff.
Yep.
Speaking of beef, does that beef guy still golf that looks like Ben?
He
Lowry,
does some
right?
Lowry, and he lost a lot of weight, I think.
Shane
No,
Lowry's
really?
in this. He's in this event. He has the same odds as Gary Woodland, just a little bit less odds than Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth at 45-1, Shane Lowry at 50-1. So yeah, he's still playing.
Shane Lowry's not the guy he's talking about, though.
Well, then who's he talking about, Ben?
His last name is Johnston. Can't remember what his first name is, but they call him Beef. It's not Shane. Andrew
Beef,
Johnston
gotcha.
is his name.
He's like
They
the
call him
Arby's
Beef.
guy.
Yeah.
The Arby's guy?
Yeah, he got like
Shane
an
Lowry-
Arby's endorsement after one tournament because everybody called him Beef.
Oh, Shane Lowry was the one who won the British, right?
Yes, I believe so.
That
Oh
sounds
boy,
right.
looking up all these stats here.
Anywho, all right, so we'll tweet that out. We'll get your guys' takes on whose squads you like. That's not going to affect who ultimately wins this challenge, this two golfer team challenge. That'll come down to the overall money winnings from the two golfers that we each picked, and so we'll have those results next week because when we do our draft on the weekend, the event still won't be over. So it was a fun little change up and something that we'll be able to do probably every week going forward for the most part as these PGA tours get going. Deke, do you have your hand raised again, or did you just not put your hand down?
Nope, I have it raised again.
Oh my God, what do you want?
What are we playing for here?
Well, I don't know because, you kind of bailed on us. So the likelihood of us getting together anytime soon is less and less. So all of our bets seem to be thrown off here.
Well, I was saying we could, the winner gets a golf round paid for.
When are all four of us going to be together to golf?
Maybe it's an excuse to get together to golf.
Okay.
Just throwing it out there if there's other ideas.
Well, so I think we got to keep it a little bit smaller because there's going to be lots of golf events. Maybe we do that for like the majors.
Fine.
Yeah. And so maybe we don't really do it for much other than bragging rights to begin with, and we can kind of keep track of it. And then when we get to the majors, we bet on some bigger, better stuff.
Fair enough. I mean, Ben can't do drinks anymore. He owes us about all 8 drinks each right now.
Yeah. Ben didn't make out too well on the match bet that he made on Phil and Brady. So let's get back into where we're at on the show, and that is. All right, so that was I guess, takes the place of our Twitter poll question this week. I'll let that little birdie fly away. And it's going to take us to what else are you watching? There really isn't a main topic for us to discuss this week, so we're just going to send it around the horn. We'll start with the guy who never puts his hand down, and we'll just go with Deke. Deke, what are you currently watching?
Yeah, perfect show to be watching the show I am, which is I started watching that Holy Moly.
Okay, that's like mini golf, right?
Yeah, with Steph Curry's show, and then Rob Riggle and Joe Tessitore announced it. It's sort of like extreme mini golf. You have to run through these obstacles and different things. That it's pretty funny. It's pretty good for the simple fact of Rob Riggle is funny. He's hilarious.
So the people involved, because I have some comments on these new shows like this. Are they regular people? Are they people with golf backgrounds? Who are the people competing?
It's a mix of people, and they give a little background on what they do. Last week there was one lady that played in the LPGA for like 3 tournaments, and she was a 3-time junior national champion. Of course, anybody who's golf knows that mini golf essentially has nothing to do with real golf. So, but it's all different backgrounds. Like she was playing a guy that he was a garbage man, and they give a little back where they're from and what they do.
Are there people that are actually bad at like even mini golf?
Yeah.
So there wasn't necessarily like some type of pre-qualifier that you have to be decent at mini golf. It could be taking any random person from a mini golf course that's good, bad, or otherwise, and put them in this competition, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, most people, though, by watching it, at least know somewhat of what they're doing. But yeah, I don't think there's any rhyme or reason. I think it's like any other game show.
Okay. The reason I bring that up, do you have any other shows that you're currently watching?
I started watching the Lance Armstrong 30 for 30. I think I'm almost done with the first segment. Takeaway from that is I guess I didn't realize, I was high school when he came down with testicular cancer, and I just don't think I realized how serious it was.
Yeah, me either.
His cancer. But I haven't finished episode 1. It was really good though. He's a cyclist, and they talk about it in the episode how it's just not an American sport, and we don't pay attention too much to it, and we did because of Lance. But you still didn't really know much about him because it was still cycling.
Right.
And so it was good information. Thought it was a good show.
It's one that I've already seen, and I've actually started watching it again. I really enjoyed it. I liked it more than The Last Dance because it was new information. It was done equally as well. And similar type of people, I feel like. And that was one, if we were going to pick a topic, that's why I asked you guys if you had seen it. If we were going to pick a topic this week, it would have been talking about the similarities between Lance and Michael Jordan, where they're both not necessarily great people, but they're the greats. And now I'm not insinuating that MJ cheated and, was doing any type of steroids or anything like that, performance enhancing. That's not what it's about. What I'm saying is that competitive mindset where you're essentially just an asshole to a lot of people that are close to you, teammates, whatever it may be, because your mind is solely focused on winning and win at all costs. And in this case, for Lance Armstrong, he cheated to do that. but it's such an interesting conversation for Lance because he did so much good outside of his cheating scandal that how do you feel about him? You know, and they end up interviewing people that are in that were part of cancer recovery and survivors and things like that, and they talk about how they don't really care about what he did as a cyclist and what he did in terms of cheating to win, because what he did off of the bike ultimately helped save their lives and did a lot for them. And ultimately, he probably wouldn't have been able to do that had he not been at the level that he was in cycling, which we all know that he cheated to get to that level. So it's a really cloudy situation on how you feel about him and his, you know, whether it's his popularity or his titles, which have been stripped away, or him as a person, the other things that he's done, the amount of money he still makes now. I thought it was fascinating. It's about 3 hours worth of watching. Each episode is 3 hours. I don't want to go too far into it, and I already have. But maybe that's something we'll talk about maybe next week after everybody has maybe checked it out. I thought it was really, really good. So I would recommend it. Deke, obviously you're not done with it, but are you saying at this point it's a recommendation?
Well, yeah, it's really good. I just fell asleep, so just got to finish it out.
Yeah, it's, you know, parental discretion advised in that one. He does start off the documentary throwing up some middle fingers and throwing out some F words like right from the get-go. So either watch the edited version if you're able to do that. Otherwise, just know that there is poor language throughout. So
Sort of how Ben golfs.
Yeah, Ben was throwing out some bad words today. We had the course almost to ourselves though, so no little kid ears heard the foul language he threw out. So Ben, of course you did. You threw up your hand while Deke was going. So Ben, what do you have to say? What are you watching right now? And put your hand down, please.
I have nothing to say. I just wanted to put my hand up. Solidarity with Deke. Hands up, buddies.
Solidarity. It's not about solidarity. It's about saying, you know, that you had something to say. So Ben, now that we're on you, what else are you watching?
Oh, I'm watching 24.
Ben is watching 24.
Going back to the early 2000s. Classic Kiefer Sutherland, Jack Bauer.
How did that come about? You wanted to watch it? Your fiance wanted to watch it?
Yeah, it was something.
You wanted to watch it, so you told her she should watch it?
I've got the first 2 or 3 seasons that I paid for through iTunes. So they were just kind of sitting on there, and I'm like, oh, I haven't watched these in a while.
Has Jackie seen them?
She has not, no.
So she's fresh, and you're rewatching. But I think it's been long enough to where you might remember some things, but maybe have forgotten a good amount.
Yeah, it's been, I mean, I think it came out in 2001 was this original season, so it's almost, 19, 20 years old.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. And that damned digital clock that comes ticking in at the beginning and end of every commercial segment, and then obviously to end the episode, bing, 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 just to raise your anxiety just enough. Deke, you got to lean forward there. We're losing your head. You got to pick a different. I think it's the all one color that we end up losing you in your backgrounds that you pick.
I get more heckle if I get 2 different colors, so I don't know what to do anymore.
Actually, let your head go a little bit so we can just look at one Brewer logo and color at a time. Chris, Ben, is that the only thing you're watching? Just 24 kind of right now?
Pretty much, yep. I'll be on golf tomorrow. So
you had mentioned that you had mentioned to us that you were watching the Bruce Lee documentary. Did you like that? That's also an ESPN 30 for 30.
I was getting started with it, and I could not get a good stream of it. It kept pausing every 30 seconds, so I haven't gotten into it yet.
From your pirated version of it?
No, I was just trying to use the ESPN app on my computer, and I don't know what was going on with it, but
yeah, I'm not saying you shouldn't watch it. It's to me, it was kind of slow because I mean, a part of it is there you can't interview him, obviously. No spoiler.
whoa,
but,
spoilers! Yeah,
yeah, he's not currently alive. But to be honest, they didn't even show other people's faces on there as they were interviewing them for the most part. So it was kind of slow, a lot of listening. It was timely because a lot of what he had to deal with was racially driven. So part of that was very timely to what's currently going on. But in terms of The Last Dance and Lance and how in depth those were and how real they got, I don't want to say they missed the boat on, I believe it's called Water, but I just couldn't fully get into it. It was just a little slow for me in terms of the Bruce Lee 30 for 30. So maybe next week after you watch, or if you're able to watch that, you can give us your insight. So Chris, what are you watching right now?
This week I did watch after we talked on text with you guys, I did get the Lance 30 for 30 going. Really enjoyed it. Definitely would recommend it. Truly, like Deke mentioned, just a lot of good insight on stuff I really didn't know as much about. So the content to me was extremely informational. Loved it. Pretty in-depth. It seems like now everything is pretty much out in the open. Makes it a lot easier to have these conversations and talk about it and see how they all acted. Some of it completely crazy. Some of it, you could rationalize with them. So it's pretty cool for all those people watching it now. I think you're going to get a good insight onto what was happening back then and beyond, not just his era. So with that, otherwise we're just continuing Schitt's Creek. Nothing too much.
Like it.
Still playing a lot of Warzone. If you ever play that, let me know.
Nope. Haven't played a video game in a while since I was playing the new baseball game. So Chris, you finished the Lance documentary or just watched some of it?
I am finished.
Okay. I'll put this question out there, not for an answer now, but for Deke and for Chris, and then maybe if Ben is able to watch it. I think next week I'd like to know how you guys feel about Lance now. Maybe going into the documentary, you had a certain feeling about him or about the situation. He's a cheater, always will be a cheater, and I think of him as a cheater. Or he's done good things and it doesn't matter, the sports side, whatever. And then watching the documentary, if that cements your feeling about him, if you now have a different mindset for better or for worse. You may dislike him more. You may like him more. It may completely flip flop. But I'm just interested to know your thoughts there, and I have my own. So we'll discuss that next week. I finished the Great British Bake Off baking show Christmas shows. Those were equally as good. So I'm now officially done with them. I had moved on to the Titan Games, which is The Rock's show, which is kind of like American Gladiator-esque, kind of that last, it's like a sprint against somebody else to complete an obstacle course and some other things. And it's an interesting show, pretty cool. I mean, stuff I'd never be able to do either in my prime or now. Also dabbled in tag or ultimate tag, JJ Watt's show. And that's why I brought up the question, Deke, to you about the mini golf game, that it was, are there people that have special, golfing abilities? Because the tag game is like people in very good shape and they come from these in shape backgrounds. There's former Olympic athletes, and things like that are competing. And I had asked Ben when he was over, to me, the better tag show is having people like us being the most elite athletes that could compete. And then everybody scales down from there. So you could have people that are in, not the greatest shape, can't move very well. I want to see those people playing tag. I don't want to see these people that are running around, jumping, doing somersaults and flippity flops all over the course. That's cool, but it's not relatable. I want to see people that struggle to play tag with their kids outside because their kids are running circles around them. I want to see them on a tag game playing against other people that struggle to keep up with their kids running circles around them. That, to me, the anxiety of any small movement could end in injury for those people. That, to me, would be interesting and give me some hope that maybe I could be on a game show like that. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Dad bod tag?
I mean, yeah. Dad bod being the best shape you can be in. That's like a pre-qualifier. If you're any better shape than dad bod shape, you're not allowed.
You could be in Holy Moly then. So I don't know if you guys remember that show. I can't remember it. I can't think of it. But Holy Moly is more based on, and it's like a show of, it was an old show in the 2000s. And I think it originated in Asia somewhere. But it's like more of a comedy, like funny, like you have somebody running across a river, but then they just get sideswiped and jacked by like this swinging ball. Wipe out like that. But then there was a show before that too, and I don't remember what that was called.
There was an Asian one where they had like a shape moving towards them. That's the one I'm thinking of, that they had to like conform their body to like fit in this shape, otherwise they got knocked into the water.
Yeah,
so different.
It's sort of like that's what it's like, except they golf amongst all that other stuff.
I'll have to check it out.
Plus, Rob Riggle and Tessitore do a good job of commentating it and making fun of people and poking jokes at them and things. So,
what do you think of Steph? Steph, good or?
He doesn't do too much with the show. It's just kind of like I think he produced it. But he doesn't he's not a part of it too much. At the end, he hands out like this plaid jacket for the winner, but that's about it.
Okay, because like the shows I had mentioned, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, he obviously is very used to being in front of the camera, so he does a really good job of doing his show. The Watt brothers, so all three Watt brothers that are all in the NFL, all host. I guess JJ's the main host, and then TJ and Derek do some other things as well. They're not the best. I mean, they're just three dudes from Wisconsin essentially being put on national television, and they're not very polished. I don't know if they're trying to be or if they're trying to. They're also not very funny. There's stuff that they say to each other that's like, bro humor or brother humor that is funny in small circles and with your family members. It just doesn't come off as very funny to a national audience, I guess. So I was interested to see if Steph, but it sounds like Steph doesn't put himself out there as much as they do. So
no.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that was what we're watching. So let us know on Twitter @rest_field what you guys are watching, and we'd love to check out some new shows and broaden our horizons when it comes to what's on TV. And that's going to take us right into this week's draft. And this week's draft, which was an idea that Deke has been pushing on us for the last couple weeks, he wants to do he wanted to do an Olympic sport draft. So we are going to do the Summer Olympics, and Chris, Ben, Deke, Jason, and then it'll snake back 4 rounds like we always do. And we're just picking Summer Olympic sports. And the stipulation there is that you're not going to pick the pole vault or the 100-meter dash for track and field. You're just going to pick track and field. So once somebody picks that, it's off the board, and that goes for men's and women's. So if you pick basketball, you are picking men's and women's basketball together. I think the only one that is different there would be softball. I think softball and baseball are different. Are we agreeing on that, or is softball baseball, baseball is softball?
I say 2 different.
Okay. So two different. Yeah. So everything else blends together. Gymnastics, trying to think of the other ones. I mean, swimming, all those sports where there is a men's and women's. Golf, there's a men's and women's component. They're together in, as long as it's the name of the sport is the same, that's what we'll do. So Chris, lead us off. You have the number 1 overall pick. Which Summer Olympic sport are you going to go with?
I'm going to go with track and field. They call it athletics on the website for Olympic sports, and that's what it's listed under. Very interesting. But all the events listed are track and field. So for popularity of the name, variety of the vote, I guess you want to call it that. Notoriety, I guess, is the right word.
I think that's what everybody. I would not put it as athletics. I'm definitely going to put it as track and field, and everybody knows what that is. So that involves all track and field events. So every running event, every field event are all grouped in under that. So Chris starting off strong. I think that's probably the Olympic sport that I watch the most.
What's your favorite event in track and field, Chris?
Probably the 100. I would say 100-meter dash. I'm trying to look them over, actually. The 400 is always a really interesting race. Not much of a marathon guy, but not a pole vault.
I always like the 200.
200?
Yeah. I don't know why.
I prefer the relays.
I like the relays.
I like the relays. I also like getting into this, if there's really good, what is it, decathletes or whatever, where they have to compete in kind of a wide array of the track and field sports. And so you see how talented these people are, that they're not just a specialist in throwing the javelin. They throw the javelin, the shot put, the hammer, they do hurdles, they do sprints, they do long distance. Those are pretty impressive. But if there's not like the big athlete or the big storyline, you often don't see too much of it. So great first pick. That's going to take us to Ben. Ben, with the second overall pick, what route are you going to go?
Basketball.
Yeah, I thought that might be the way that. Wow, Deke, Mr. NBA, which is odd because Chris is also a big NBA guy and passed on basketball. Deke is big in the NBA and is pumped that Ben.
Chris and I are going for a W.
So would you have taken track and field, or were you hoping with the number? If you had the number one pick, Deke, were you going to take whatever you're happy about dropping to you?
No, I would have taken track and field. So great pick by Chris. I mean, I'm sorry, Ben. Once again, I just don't think this is the right pick, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I love that.
So Deke, with that, what are you going to take with the third pick?
Yeah, and it's actually between two of them, and it's tough. But I'm going to go with one that I get more excited about. I do watch both of them, but I get more excited is swimming.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think it's a very popular sport when the people tune in to watch it.
Agreed.
People tune in to watch Michael Phelps. I don't think they tune in to watch people swim.
Well,
yeah.
Like, Phelps isn't there this year.
Yep.
There will be a Michael Phelps.
Is
People
he
will
swimming?
find another reason to watch.
What Ben is saying there is true. If you don't have the major athletes, the major storylines, swimming doesn't get as much coverage as it typically would.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's some other up and coming swimmers that will dominate those headlines and they'll still be up there. But
yeah, but so it'll just be the next person who's going to beat Phelps's records, who's going to get as many medals as Phelps. That'll be the next thing.
And not knowing who that person is going to make you tune in and watch.
Check the ratings.
Ben, you keep watching U25 basketball Olympics, and we're gonna all enjoy it. Okay.
I'm not down in your basketball pick. I think if it was there for me at 2, I don't know that I would have taken it, but I don't think it's a bad pick.
Why don't they just make the World Cup and FIFA an Olympic sport then?
This is true. So there's a few here. I definitely want to get the one that Deke wants back because he said it was down to 2 for him. There's a few, and for me, it's going to be a while till I pick again, so I got to be very choosy here. Gosh. Okay. I think I know the route I want to go. It's listed on here as artistic gymnastics, I'm definitely going to take just gymnastics. The other one being rhythmic gymnastics. So just the usual gymnastics for me with the 4th pick overall. I think that's one that everybody is always tuned into, just because it's, well, normal gymnastics.
Artistic.
Correct. That is the one that it is, but gymnastics.
You mean just because of Simone Biles? Nobody watches that every 4 years if Simone Biles isn't in there, right?
No, I think people watch it every 4 years regardless.
Yeah, gymnastics I'll watch every year.
Oh, okay. Okay.
At least it's one of my favorites. It's probably the favorite summer sport for me.
Oh, no, absolutely. It's a better pick than basketball. I was just being sarcastic on Ben's.
But yet still throwing Ben under the bus. I love it. And then with my 2nd pick, so the 9th overall, gosh dang it. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. I think here's where we go with football. I think we go with soccer. If I'm getting both men's and women's, I like that. I like U.S. women's soccer, and I'm able to watch them in World Cup, and then Olympics is where I watch them the most. And then the men, you get all the good men's other countries outside of the U.S. that compete, and I think that's it may not be popular amongst our voters, but certainly in terms of worldwide, that's probably one of the most viewed sports in all of the Olympics. So I'm going to go with soccer. So Deke, that takes us back to you. Did I steal the one that you were thinking at number 3, other than swimming?
Gymnastics, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough choice. I think had you taken gymnastics instead of swimming, I think swimming would have been up there. I'm not sure if I would have taken it for sure, but it would have been there. So what are you going to take with your 2nd pick, the 6th overall?
Well, it's down to 2 options again, but I think I'm going to go with the more traditional one, and I really enjoy watching this, is volleyball. But I enjoy watching volleyball at all times. So
okay.
Which one? You just get both?
Pretty impressive.
You get beach and you get
no.
He just gets volleyball.
It is 2 separate.
He gets indoor.
I'm doing indoor. That's what I wanted, anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I wasn't going to say anything because I didn't want to throw it out there because I was hoping beach volleyball may come back to me, but I guess now
it's
Chris.
I'm taking it right here.
Yeah, I was going next otherwise.
Oh, yeah. Boy.
Beach
so
volleyball is probably one of my favorites where I don't need to know who's playing. I see it on and I just stop and watch. Like
they're so good.
It's entertaining.
It is. It's nonstop action, right? Every point, there's not a ton of like aces in terms of like serves that go straight to the ground, whereas you might see that in regular volleyball. But beach volleyball, yeah, constant diving, constant running around with only 2 people playing.
So much better than regular volleyball.
Wow. Ben now throwing a little shade Deke's way. Okay, I like it. So Chris, you had mentioned you were going to take beach volleyball had it fallen to you. So give me your 8th pick, or your 2nd pick, the 8th pick overall. We'll show the board and then we'll come back to you with the 9th pick.
Yeah, Phil, just a few more seconds. You guys stole 3 straight picks that I had written down. I thought maybe one would fall.
Okay,
and
all right.
I'm scrambling a little bit here.
So Ben and Deke, do you guys prefer?
I'm gonna go with it just a minute before you can fill your time and do this. I'll go with diving first.
Just diving, okay.
It was on my board. Nice pick. I tune into that.
Diving seems to be the one where they'll it doesn't matter like the time of day. You always kind of you rarely get it live, I feel like.
Yeah.
They always come in and they just show how it ended up. Maybe on the medal day, I guess, depending on which country they're performing in. If, in terms of obviously what time it is in the US, they can't necessarily show diving live. Or maybe they do in the middle of the night, but that's how the board stands right now. Chris went with track and field and diving, Ben with basketball, beach volleyball, Deke with swimming and regular indoor volleyball, and I have gymnastics and soccer. So Chris needed us to fill time, and then he interrupted us to fill in with the pick before we could even say anything. So now I'm going to take the opportunity for all of you. Do you prefer beach volleyball? Because I think we all kind of said we love beach volleyball. Men's or women's?
I'll take either. I enjoy watching both, personally.
One or the other.
Men's.
Okay.
I have no reason why I said that. Just all I can think of is Karch Karai, so that's why I said it.
Yeah, I'm a
Karai and
Dahlhauser.
Ken Steffens.
I'm a Dahlhauser fan. I like him, the big, tall, bald guy. He was my computer background for a while in London, and he was just almost shoulders above the net with his big, long arms going up for a block, wearing sunglasses at night. He's a monster. I don't know if he's still playing or not. He may be done now. I think I like women's more, I think I like women's more. So Chris and Ben, you just have zero opinion?
Yep, I like them both.
Ben, typical, never gives an answer to a question.
I don't know enough about either of them that I just in awe of watching either one of them perform and compete. Like their
right, but
movements
if you had both,
are incredible.
If you had both on, which TV are you turning off first?
Watch them both side by side.
It's tough to say. I prefer watching male athletes over women athletes for the most part, but I would watch both.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with saying you want to watch men's beach volleyball over women's. There's nothing wrong with it. I think Ben's probably trying to skirt around the fact that he would rather watch women play in bikinis. But that's fine. I know Ben and his true motives, so I know what Ben would probably pick if he actually had to. So yeah.
Both.
Well, yeah.
I like that.
Absolutely lying. So all right, so we're done with 2 rounds. Chris is snaking back here. You have your third pick, 9th overall. Which sport?
Hockey.
And that is field hockey, Chris. That is not regular hockey, which is obviously a winter sport. You understand that, right?
Hey,
you know,
hey,
I did.
Right? I mean, come on now.
Ben came at you with fire. Ben came at you with fire right there.
I did not look into that far enough.
Mr. Raisin Bran Count Chocula came hard at you.
Going with field hockey. Nothing against the sport of field hockey for any field hockey lovers out there, but Chris obviously mistakenly thinking it was regular hockey. Field hockey, I believe, is just a women's sport.
It has men as well, but
does it really?
12-team men tournament, it says, yeah.
Are we going on a vote?
That's where I got a little confused. Yeah, can we vote on this quick so I can either change this or get out of it? Because obviously that's not a real pick, but hey, I'll take it if I gotta.
Well, my vote would be that he has to stand with the pick. I mean, you can't be in the NFL draft and write down somebody's name and then they're like, that guy's not any good, and then be like, oh my gosh, I didn't mean that guy, and then go run up there and change your draft.
Well, I wouldn't call him. I'd call him by the right name. I'd call him field hockey. I wouldn't say hockey. Like there's a lot of hockeys out there.
In front of us. We all have the same board in front of us.
That was a panic pick, but I'm okay if that's what I got to stay with.
Well, there's 2 other votes here, so there's a majority.
Well, I say he can repick, but
okay. So Ben, you're the deciding vote, and Ben, there's nothing wrong with either way that you go.
Ben also.
I am picking next, so I am very happy that he picked hockey. So I'm going to say he has to stay with it.
Okay. A good reason why.
I think you can't really backtrack so quickly after he came at Chris so hard on that.
Well, I was correct in him assuming that it was winter hockey.
And I think Ben is the person we have suggested hey, you should have picked something else, and to now give somebody else the ability to change their potential poor pick, Ben has lost the most from poor picks. So I think so. We're going with Chris has got to stay with field hockey.
I will let him
Ben,
change as long as he doesn't pick what I want to pick next.
Nope. We're gonna move on. Go ahead and pick.
I don't think it's actually terrible ultimately. If you look at the rest of the options, but
field hockey is one that I've watched, and then you watch knowing nothing about the game, and then after the Olympics are done, you're like, I could tell you any rule you need to know. Like you become like an instant expert because they constantly tell you how the game is played because they understand people don't watch a lot of it. Field hockey was one in the last Olympics I watched a bunch of.
Yeah, basically at the end of the day, Chris's team is still going to end up getting more votes than mine, so I don't think it matters.
Correct. That is correct. So, well, it'll come down to this. It'll come down to how Ben pivots, or maybe not pivots, but how do you capitalize off of Chris's mispick?
Well, it's probably not a capitalize, but I'm taking golf. Golf is one I will watch, whether it's, again, like a regular PGA event or the Olympics. I'll watch it all day, every day.
Oh, boy.
well, I don't think the capitalize came in there.
Nope. Nope. You could have left that one and hoped it came back to you. I don't think it. I have to look at the board again, but I don't think it was one that I was going to pick on the turn. So interesting approach. But Deke, you have the 11th pick overall. So what sport are you going to go with?
Yep. So I'm going to go with the sport that always amazes me to watch when the Olympics come on. Also as a basement game room favorite, table tennis, aka ping pong.
Would you like me to put it into the poll as table tennis or ping pong?
Table tennis, parentheses, ping pong.
That's not what he said. He said one or the other.
Well,
this
men's or women's
Ben.
volleyball, Ben. Men's or women's volleyball.
That's not going on the poll. That was just either or. I said both.
It was a question, Ben.
Table tennis.
Okay. Ben likes women's beach volleyball. We all obviously know that. Okay, so I have back-to-back picks to finish out my squad. Ooh, we did talk a lot about Lance Armstrong, and there are actually 4 different cycling events. Well, one of them being BMX, which is essentially X Games-esque. Gosh, there are a lot of events, but
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Boom, boom,
I'm sorry.
boom, boom, boom.
So I'm going to go with one pick being. Damn. I'm going to go with. I'm trying to think of if I want to go with baseball or softball. I could potentially pick both. I think I'm going to go with softball just from the sense of pure domination from the U.S. to the point where they had to take the sport out of the Olympics because it wasn't competitive. And it was essentially like the U.S. constantly winning and maybe 1 or 2 other teams that were in the running, and that was it. So I'm going to go softball there because the U.S. is awesome in it.
Do they do home run rule in the Olympics for softball?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, again, it wasn't an Olympic sport for a while. I think they're just bringing it back.
Yeah, this is the first year back for 8 years, I think. I mean, 2 Olympics.
Yeah. So it's certainly been a while. With my second pick to finish out my team, I think I'm going to go with the big boy version of what Deke picked. And before I say it, let me make one last stroll through here. Yep, I'm going to go with regular tennis. We still see some of the stars playing. So this is big boy tennis or big girl tennis as compared to Deke's basement game. So, yeah, I went softball. So that rounds out my squad: gymnastics, soccer, softball, and tennis. I like my squad. And that leaves Deke with his last pick. He currently has swimming, volleyball, table tennis, and he rounds it out with
handball.
Handball. Have you watched handball?
I have. I actually think it is a sport that in my younger days I might have been actually pretty good at. It's interesting to me. It's a little bit of basketball involved, and so if you do, it's. I think if it was played more in the United States, people would like it and catch on a little bit. It just doesn't seem to go.
Yeah.
But
it's kind of like a mix.
Dodgeball?
No, it's a mix of like basketball, also ultimate frisbee, kind of, I believe, because you have to make your way down the floor. Passing.
You only can dribble twice, and then you have to pass, and then you have to throw it into a goal. So then it's also like soccer, field hockey. So you have to advance the ball. Water polo, yeah. You have to advance the ball with only 2 dribbles per person into the goal. There's obviously some other rules, but.
Yeah, so Deke finishes his squad again: swimming, volleyball, table tennis, and handball, which now brings us to Ben, who has basketball, beach volleyball, golf. And Ben, where are you going to go for your last summer Olympic sport?
This is another one that I will stop and watch at all times whenever it's on. You can't see the faces because they have the masks on, but they could always impale someone because they have swords, and swords are cool.
Wow.
I will pick fencing.
Love the description. I don't think much of that is true in being able to impale somebody unless they snuck up
protective gear.
Protective gear, and they're not using swords that actually have points on them. So fencing that's one. It will stop me in my tracks. I don't watch it for long because I don't usually know what the hell's going on. But interesting last pick for Ben. I don't think he loses any votes there because I think towards the end here we're all kind of scrambling. But that takes us to Chris, who has track and field, diving, field hockey, not to be confused with winter on the ice with a puck hockey. Chris, how are you going to finish
watches that
out
kind of hockey anyway.
Oh, everybody. Yeah, I see. So the NHL is actually National Field Hockey League.
Is that popular? Is NHL good? I didn't know. I'm confused.
Me too.
What a bad draft. Hey, so I got 2 options. I'm for sure going with one or the other.
Okay.
I'll write one down, and then you guys want to have any guess as to which 2 are on this list. If you can come up with 1 or 2. Let me write it down real quick.
It's already been mentioned, and I think it's water polo. Water polo is one I've watched. So I'm going to throw that one out for my guess. So, Ben, you can't say all of them. So, Ben, what sport do you think?
Can I have 2?
Go with? Sure.
You can throw 2, sure.
I would have said boxing and rowing. I actually enjoy some of the rowing stuff.
Okay.
Deke, what do you think? 12 people.
Deke, you're muted.
Yeah, do you have to go different than what you guys said, obviously?
You don't have to. If you want to throw a couple out there so that you have one that's unique and maybe one that's the same.
Already.
I'll just be different, unique. I'll say, I think potentially you could do weightlifting is always kind of neat just to see how much weight people can throw up, and then if they fall or the weight's too heavy, sometimes those are interesting TV.
They get crushed under the weight of the bar. That's really nice.
Yeah,
Jeez, that's not
or good. What I always thought was neat, I don't know if Chris does, but is the track cycling. Oh, that was always interesting.
Like indoor
Yeah.
cycling. Yeah.
Well,
They're
guys-
certainly cruising. Where are
Sorry,
you
Jay.
going,
Go
Chris?
ahead.
No, you're fine.
I
Where
was
you going?
saying, I don't know if it's a bad thing. You guys didn't name either of the two I had written down. So
Yeah,
that's
that's a bad-
maybe not great news for me.
Badminton.
Sorry, badminton was the one I did not go with. That was number
Karate?
2 on my.
I was gonna throw badminton out there as a second option.
I think it's a good one, but since my draft is already ruined because of Ben's final vote, I will say skateboarding.
Oh, going a little X
You'll
Games.
probably get Tom's vote. He loves Tony Hawk.
Oh,
Yeah,
he does.
You're right.
He does love Tony Hawk. He is not on Twitter, so yeah, you get a bummer.
We'll
But,
write in vote.
there you go. Yeah, we'll take write-in votes. So that finishes out the draft. Let me show the board here. Show everybody how this ended up. There it is. All right. So Chris, track and field, diving, field hockey, skateboarding. Ben, basketball, beach volleyball, golf, fencing. Deke, swimming, volleyball, table tennis, handball. And I took gymnastics, soccer, softball, and regular tennis. I'm going to ask you guys the same question I always do. I'm going to give my opinion here. I think my team's pretty strong. I actually do like Ben's team. I think everything he has on there is like people know it and have, where I think the confusion on Deke's team and Chris's team is going to be field hockey and maybe handball. Maybe not. Maybe handball won't be confusing, but I feel those are the weak spots on the two teams, not Ben's. So I'm going to say Ben's is the next best team other than mine. I like my team. So who do you guys think your team stack up well, or do you think somebody else is a strong front runner?
I think, Jason, you hit that right on the head there. I think you got the best team. People might be thrown off by tennis and soccer as an Olympic sport necessarily. Not your heaviest hitter for players actually playing. I think the only way I have a chance is track and field, but I think I have the worst team because of a mistake. So.
Yeah, I think for soccer, for me, I'm banking on the women, where at least the U.S. women's team, they for the most part all play. So, and I enjoy watching them play. So hopefully that's the route that the voters go. Deke, Ben, any thoughts?
I don't think anybody's a true runaway, including Chris with field hockey and skateboarding.
So you don't think Chris is at a disadvantage?
No, I don't, because he has track and field, and I think you may have lots of people that just say that's what the Olympics are, track and field.
It might help me.
Yeah, very true. Yep, it was a strong number one pick. So Ben, how do you feel either about your squad or anybody else's?
Yeah, no, I think they're all pretty decent. Kind of same thing Deke said. I think Chris has got a good chance because track and field is such a huge portion. I mean, there's people who tune in just to watch, Usain Bolt run the 100 every year. So that could be all he needs.
So Ben, how do you like your odds of not finishing very far behind in last place on this draft?
I mean, if I come in last in this draft, then I'm just out. I'm never drafting again because I don't think that should happen.
Whoa.
But
somebody has to come in last place.
I know. I just don't think that's a last place team. Like you tell me basketball and beach volleyball, like golf and fencing, whatever. To me, those are more me picks. But I think basketball and beach volleyball are, the top ones up there. So,
Ben, though, that's where you get yourself in trouble in a lot of the drafts. Is your last two picks are usually you picks, and they just don't always seem to go over well. These are, I think, a little better than previous drafts.
Yeah. But again, fencing may be the low end, but again, that was the second to last pick, and there wasn't a ton out there. I think golf, with a lot of people getting out, even up in the Northwoods where people are able to now, have some good weather and are out on the golf course and things like that, that maybe a lot of people feel a connection there to seeing golf on the list. And heck, people are, Auburndale's probably got the maybe softball league starting up again with beach volleyball. I mean, it's just sand volleyball. It's not necessarily on a beach, but beach volleyball being right there next to the softball fields. Music Fest, always a good time with the beach volleyball tournament. So maybe Ben does have a pretty decent chance of not coming in last place, but we'll see. This will be up live on Twitter as soon as we kind of end this and I can get it up onto Twitter. So go on there and vote at @rest_field. We're on Instagram. Guys, if anybody have anything else to throw out there, otherwise I'm going to close it out. So you don't have to raise your hand. Just go ahead and start talking. Teak.
I'm good.
All right. Deke's good. So then we must all be good. I beat Ben in golf today, so I'm feeling really good. But with that, we're going to close it out. That was our Summer Olympic Sport Draft. Look for that and our 2-man golf teams on Twitter. Again, also on Instagram, and you're watching our YouTube channel. So please subscribe, give us the likes, send us to a buddy to watch, help us spread the word, and give us, Becky King is somebody that gave us some suggestions for things we can draft on. And I think she gave us 3 or 4 suggestions, and we're going to start using those as soon as this weekend. We're going to pick one and do one of her suggestions. So if you have any suggestions for new drafts that we haven't done yet, please let us know, and we will definitely get right to them and do them as part of our show. So look for this episode to be on YouTube, and we'll put some stuff on Twitter and Instagram, and then this weekend we'll do another draft-only special. So with that, guys, oh my gosh, I went backwards. Oh, jeepers. It's just one of those days, Okay, there we go. So we are the rest of the field. My name is Jason Gorman, and for Chris Weiler, for Deke, Ben Christensen, thank you for tuning in. Tune in on this weekend and tell a friend, help us out. And with that, we're out.